What is up, everyone? Alex here with another champion skin tier list, this time on Viktor, the Machine Herald. So Viktor fills out our mad scientist archetype of character, but like in the robot way, and less the biology way, Singe does that last one. Viktor has come to the conclusion that the human form is incredibly outdated and needs to be replaced by machines. To him, this is known as the Glorious Revolution. Now, here's the thing about this. I would safely assume that most people would rebel against this whole being turned into a robot thing, especially because people absolutely flip shit nowadays if you tell them to just be a decent human being and, care about others. Can you imagine telling someone to become a robot in this economy? However, through the course of the recent season of Arcane, Viktor kind of became the unexpected fan favorite for a lot of people, while being more of a supporting character for Jace's storyline. Now, I'm not really sure if Jace is just unusually boring or not, but Viktor's story was emotional, compelling, really gripping. Best part of it is that Viktor's life has just kind of sucked, like a lot, and he wasn't just sitting around moping about it, he was trying to fix himself, and even better yet, he wanted to pursue science to make everyone's lives better. I'm not sure how they're going to turn this guy into a villain in future seasons, but I have a suspicion people are going to be on board for it and kind of want him to succeed, which is terrifying. I'm getting distracted here because I'm not here to show off my useless film background dissecting why Arcane is a fantastic show. We're here to do a skin tier list because it's my one and only thing I do on this channel, at least at the moment. Seriously, I went back and deleted all my cringe Let's Plays. Who let me keep those up for as long as I did? Jesus, they were embarrassing. Anyway, in order of release, Viktor has the following skins. He has his normal, his full machine, prototype, creator, Deathsworn, and Sciops. Not very many, pretty awful actually for a champion who's been in the game for, just a decade. But we're gonna start by talking about his base look. So Viktor came out in 2011 with this actually pretty good look to him. I'm a sucker for a mad scientist who's bold enough to wear a cape. That's just like peak world domination stuff right there. Combine that with the laser cane, the laser hand on his back, and the laser mask on his face, and you have a solid look to him. Okay, it's not a laser mask. I just felt like I was on a roll there, and the word laser is kind of fun to say. You don't care, it's okay. He does look properly intimidating. It's hard to think that this man is behind that mask obliterating Yone's and LeBlanc's in mid lane. His basic spell effects actually look pretty good. Normal flashy stuff going on. I'll talk more about spell effects further into the video when there is stuff that actually changes, I guess. As for his emotes, his joke is pretty cute with his robot arm tapping him on the shoulder and making him look, which is just some classic physical humor. His taunt shows him levitating his cane in front of him while saying something about robots being superior. Look, that's his whole thing. That's gonna be like his thing that he brings up at parties all the time. You know at least one person who's like that about something, don't lie. His dance is the Melbourne Shuffle, which is impressive since he uses a cane to walk around, sort of. I like the idea that Viktor augmented himself just to fulfill his secret passion to dance, but that's my own headcanon stuff going on. And his laugh is actually pretty great. He tosses his cane to his robot arm, and he just lets out this insane evil laugh. He does have a recall animation, but it's not exactly anything special, so we'll just be moving on now with the rest of the video. I have video games to play after. I mean a social life and parties to go to. Saved it. Anyway, as usual for these skin tier list videos, the base look always goes at the top of C tier because we need a baseline to work with. I take my tier list very seriously. These are basically definitive. There's absolutely no room for discussion here, and anybody who disagrees is obviously incorrect. This is sarcasm, by the way. I think it's obvious, but apparently it's not. So there's your heads up. The first actual skin we're going to talk about, besides his base look, is going to be Full Machine Viktor, one of Viktor's 2 release skins. Which, as this game gets older and older, the camp of champions who got 2 skins on release gets smaller and smaller. It's a 975 RP cost skin, which honestly seems a little overpriced to me, and I'm gonna tell you why. Well, first of all, it's an old skin, obviously. But this robot skin loses one kind of specific advantage a lot of other robot-based skins get, and that's a voice filter. Viktor normally already sounds pretty robotic, so we lose out on that. The only visual change to his abilities is on his stun bubble thing. I refuse to call spells by what they're actually called, by the way. Sorry about that. So the metal arms inside the stun bubble are changed to match Viktor's new green and yellow aesthetic with this skin. Speaking of the new look, I have to say I like it a little less than Viktor's normal look. Victor looks incredibly intimidating normally. This skin, though, makes him look like some kind of cannon fodder enemy in any generic sci-fi shooter. It's good he keeps the cape and the third arm, otherwise he would have looked really, really generic. Also, Victor's whole thing is to replace himself completely with robotic parts, and this is the final form he's gonna go with? Okay, that's a pretty big oof. But hey, at least he didn't install a hate ship to survive off of jealousy and, well, hatred. If you get that reference, let me know, because you have my undying respect. I think if you tossed some better spell effects on this skin, maybe gave it some chromas to get away from that horrid green color, and this skin would have been really sick. For now, we're gonna put it in C tier, right below the base skin. It's okay. Honestly, if it was a little cheaper, this probably would have gotten into the B tier. Alright, next up is Viktor's Pseudo Arcane skin, his prototype skin. This is a 520 RP cost legacy skin, which also is a release skin. Now, I say Pseudo Arcane skin because, at least for the moment, at the time of making this video, this is the closest we get to being able to play the Viktor from Arcane. The skin exudes a Viktor origin story, even from just the splash art. I'm really into Marvel movies and Marvel shows, and I always love seeing the crappy version of the costume. It's not always crappy, it's just what I call it when it's not the final design that the show or movie eventually is going to. I'd be surprised if Viktor doesn't look a little more like this in the next season of Arcane. Maybe he goes through a vigilante phase and covers up his identity and uses his tech to fight for Zahn. I'm getting sidetracked. So the model itself, I seem to like, obviously, as I just talked about it for like a solid minute. When it comes to spell effects, nothing here that stands out similarly to the full machine. The actual device that generates the stun bubble has changed to a crimson and gold color, but outside of that, nothing new to report here. He has no new emote changes or significant animations to talk of, so I've essentially said everything about this skin that I can. So, where are we going to rank it? I think that it's gonna be the first entry into our B tier. I like it more than his base look, but it's not a crazy improvement. His base look is pretty good, so that makes the tier list a little trickier. I know I said it, but it is a legacy skin, which means if you ever get it, it's probably gonna be out of a random orb or a chest, and that definitely has to take some points off of it. No matter how much someone loves a skin, if it's in the legacy vault, it's gonna be an absolute bitch to get. B tier's fine though. So the next skin we're going to talk about is Viktor's Creator skin. It's a 1350 RP cost skin and is, in my opinion, his first serious skin. Now I'm going to clear up what I mean by this. It doesn't mean it's his first good one, but the first one that it's taking the character seriously. There's no humor in the skin. This is a Viktor that looks badass and looks like he's seriously about to go on a genocidal rampage against all organic life. I get some serious Dr. Nefarious vibes from this skin. Anyone else have a PS2 in the early 2000s, or am I just old? Anyway, if we're going off the splash art alone, the skin looks incredible. It's sleek, it's dangerous looking, the colors and the skull-like helmet look fantastic. In game though, it's a little disappointing. I wanted the sleek looking skin that's slim and has a heavy emphasis on these black and vivid pink-red colors. It would have just looked so good, especially on the mostly green Summoner's Rift. In game though, he's kind of bulky looking and the colors look off. This is definitely a skin you would need to look up footage for because the splash art kind of catfishes you a little bit. But let's get into the meat of this skin. Well, not the meat. He's a robot, sort of, I guess. It's an expression, whatever. Alright, so this is the first skin we've talked about so far with some significant changes to its spells. They get a crimson look to them and they have this untamed, explosive, dangerous quality to them that just seems super menacing. The machinery of the stun bubble, as usual, changes to match his new look, and I'm really enjoying calling it a stun bubble because I imagine it makes at least one person really annoyed. He does get a new recall with the skin, and I learned that his chestplate thing is actually a little drone buddy, and he gets some light up panels that he can pretend to play with as he's recalling, which is pretty cool. We all know that recalling is boring. That's why half of us are in the shop while it's happening. His emotes are essentially the same, except the robot arm on his back rotates, and it seems like it acts a little more like a weapon than an arm. Think like War Machine's machine gun. Ah, War Machine. Everyone's favorite Avenger, am I right? I like him.
I'm like, boom, you looking for this?
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not.
As for where to place this one, it's unfortunate because before starting what I like to call the research phase for this video, I took a glance at the splash arts, and this was my early pick for the S tier. It just disappoints me. I feel like I got trolled by the really good splash art. Still good though. I think top of B tier suits it just fine. Next up is a Halloween skin with his Deathsworn Viktor skin. It costs 1350 RP, and because its legacy is unavailable for purchase except for around Halloween. You know, probably. That's how most of these work anyway. So usually with skins, I don't like when they change up the base theme too much. Like for an example, you take a tech champion and make them magical or vice versa. Stuff like that. I'm having trouble thinking up some examples though. The Jace video does a pretty good job of me explaining what I mean by this. However, I will say this skin is just insanely cool looking. Like, just the model itself is cool. He's like a cosmic Grim Reaper with a magical staff instead of a scythe. Like, he glows in the dark. Anything that glows in the dark is just cool. At least according to one immature 20-something YouTuber. The skin also has the added benefits of getting some serious overhaul on his visual effects for his spells and junk. I might be biased here because I love the color blue, and it blends together with some ghostly greens here, and it's both haunting and kinda relaxing looking, actually. So Viktor has decided to lean more into the hex rather than the tech for the skin, and this shows in his stun bubble how it uses runes to stun people instead of technology. These runes also come into play on his recall, and it looks like he's trying to summon something. It's not the flashiest recall, but it works, and Viktor hasn't had too many different recalls up to this point anyway, so this sticks out a little more. Honestly, the skin is really solid all around. The worst part of it is just the lack of availability. But with a little patience and some Riot points, this is a pretty great addition to any skin collector's collection. That's like, what, a Grievous reference and a Buffalo Bill reference all in one? I'm actually a little impressed with myself right now. I'm not gonna lie. A tier. I think that's reasonable. Honestly, this skin's great. Last skin we have here is the Sciop skin, another 1350 RP cost skin, and yet another champion that doesn't have a legendary skin. If I had to guess, I imagine popularity plays into it, and I don't really see too many Viktors running around the Rift. So these Sciop's line of skin were interesting because they were pretty divisive from what I saw. People either like these or they really did not like them. For me, I like most of them. The Ezreal ones were particularly great, and you know what? So is this one. The model just basically looks like an upgraded Viktor. He hasn't turned himself into a full robot yet, but he's entered into the end game and he's been grinding it out for some seriously legendary loot. Like, just look at that robot arm and his weapon. If he didn't get that out of a big treasure chest after killing a difficult boss for the 5th time, I would be incredibly surprised. All the effects get changed on the skin to this holographic kind of effect. Super random, but it also reminds me of oil spills for some reason, but my brain is wired weird compared to other people. Now, I can imagine these aren't a lot of people's favorite visual effects because they are really strange looking, so I can see why the skin might have disappointed a lot of Viktor fans, especially because before the skin, he went 3 years without a skin. That's a long time in the history of League of Legends anyway. So the model is good, the effects work, doing pretty good so far. This is the only Viktor skin that has chromas to it as well, which is always nice. Options are good. As usual, Riot likes taking the best chroma to a skin, attaching it to an event, making it almost impossible to get it, this case being no different with his Hunter chroma. So that's sick. Cool business, Riot. You never cease to amaze me with your decisions. Truly, some baffling stuff going on with you guys sometimes. This skin has Viktor's best recall with him playing around with his disco ball. There's a joke in there somewhere with Viktor using his third arm to play with his ball, but that joke feels a bit juvenile and kind of way too easy. Sort of like your mom. So every single one of my tier lists has exactly one S tier, and because I haven't picked one yet, this one gets it. It feels kind of wrong because I'm not entirely sure if it's just recency bias or not. I will say though that Deathsworn was really good, and honestly, it was kind of a coin flip on the decision here. Give Viktor more skins. This is a very shallow amount for a champion who's been around for as long as he has been. Alright, well, how about that? 2 videos in 1 day. That's a change of pace. Who needs sleep, am I right? But as usual, this is where I do my little spiel that I like to do at the end of the video. I tell you guys to like, comment, and subscribe. You guys don't because you're lame or you forget. But hey, this is pretty embarrassing because I don't think you got me a present for Christmas. You can just subscribe and comment and talk about how your holidays have been. I'd say we'd be even at that point. I know me personally, I'm going to be on my phone all day because the other option is talking to my family, and at least one of them is an actual Looney Tune. So, lots of awkwardness over there. But listen, the holidays are weird and widespread all around, so no matter when you're celebrating your version of the winter holidays, I hope it's good. I hope you spend it with someone you love, someone you care about. Maybe it's family, some friends, some cutie you got a crush on. I don't know. Maybe it's just yourself. Be sure to do something for you. Something that puts a smile on your face. Anyway, that's all I got for this video. It's going to be the last one of the year, so do the YouTube stuff below the video. Go smile more. You got a cute face, probably. I can't see you. I believe in you, though, and I will see you all in the next year.